What exactly is blind confidence? Blind confidence is a phrase that I decided to come up with when I wanted to talk about this video and this sort of thing that I feel like I experience and something that I feel many people will experience as well. And it also relates to things such as self-esteem and believing in yourself generally. Believing in yourself is an incredibly useful thing because from a philosophical perspective, not believing in yourself, it's such a weird thing. And not believing in yourself is like not believing in your existence. Like, it's almost as if it is a lie. So what is the point in you existing if you don't believe in yourself? Not in a malicious sense, but it's like you're putting those negative affirming thoughts onto yourself. So it's like your brain, what it gets from that is it literally doesn't want to exist. So it can't be good for any kind of spiritual health that could potentially exist in the way that the human world and the human body functions. But that's just like one random philosophical question that I sort of come up with, and it kind of relates to this video, but I'll probably make a separate video on that, maybe today, maybe in the future or whatever. But blind confidence, even if you sort of aren't necessarily skilled and able to be able to do something, maybe you've been entered by your friends into a random competition in a sport that you've never done before in your life. It would be seemingly logical to maybe be like apprehensive, and you might say, oh no, I'm not going to be very good at that, so I'm just not going to do it. But it also seems like, what is the point in doing that? I mean, I guess it is like nice and humble and like having a lot of humility, but at the same time I feel like there's another way to have humility and be humble, but also not sort of put yourself down. And that's what I call blind confidence, when there is realistically nothing you have, nothing that is tangible to back up your ability to do something, but you still feel like you're going to do well anyway. Whether that is just like random euphoric sort of feelings of like, oh, gut feeling, I know I'm going to do well, even if you're not someone that commonly believes in themselves a lot. But even if it's just like a random thing like a test or a quiz, if you haven't revised for a test, there's no point in like beating yourself up about it. While you should maybe have revised and studied, but the past is in the past and you can't change whether you studied or revised or not. So there's no point in going to an exam being like, oh my god, I'm going to fail. You might as well have some kind of blind confidence that's actually just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like get the best mark, I'm gonna do fine. And it seems really arrogant. It seems like such a negative sort of thing to be projecting, but it also is like, why would you doubt yourself? Why would you say to yourself, oh, I'm not gonna do well? It just seems like such a more positive thing, despite it seeming arrogant, that you would say to yourself, yeah, I'm gonna do well, I'll still get the best score, it's fine. It seems like toxic positivity, but toxic positivity to me is better than negativity at least 10 times. So there's no point in being realistic when having that toxic positivity, even if it is toxic or maybe it is just positive. I don't really believe in toxic positivity, but that's what some people on the internet say. That could be the sort of factor that actually gets you a better grade than what you maybe would have got if you were just like, oh no, I'm going to fail. Because you sort of play into your own beliefs. You look for things and search for things that like align with the beliefs that you have. So if you're going to say, oh, I'm going to do badly in this test, and then you sort of come to writing the test and then you just don't like go to your full ability because like you're subconsciously, you think you're not going to do well. But if you have some kind of blind confidence, you'll hopefully smash it more than you did if you'd be negative, but maybe not necessarily more than you did if you like actually had put in some effort and put in some hard work and actually studied. But even people that sometimes study, they still feel like they're going to be like, oh no, I'm gonna fail because I didn't study enough. I feel like that's just even worse than having a negative attitude whilst not studying, because it's like you could just be like, yeah, I did all I could. The past is the past. I'm gonna smash this exam. It's like, it seems like that's just the mindset to have if you want to do well in an exam. There's no point in being like all negative about it. It's just, it seems like, oh, I'm just being realistic, but I don't see why personally you wouldn't want to just sort of be like, yeah, it's all going to be fine, even if it's like not. It just seems like that could still bump up your grade. I'm using examples of as an easy example here because a lot of people don't believe in themselves when it comes to exams, when it comes to academics in school. So I feel like it would resonate with a lot of people. If you just kind of go with a, yeah, it's fine attitude, you'll still get a better grade than if you were like, I'm going to do so badly. Not irregardless of the sort of effort you put in and your general natural talent and ability. But it's the same thing applies to if you got entered into a random competition of a sport that you'd never played before. maybe you were like someone that plays basketball quite often, and then your friend sort of entered you into like a football thing with school. Instead of being like, oh no, it's going to be like really embarrassing and I'm going to just get humiliated, you could have an attitude that is a bit better than that, where you're just like, yeah, let's just take it on, take the challenge on. I'll be good, I'll be fine. And it seems arrogant. It seems like you're just sort of ignoring the realism of the world that exists. But it's also probably better for you. It's like if you have that positive mindset, to me it doesn't even seem toxic, it just seems positive. That you will end up doing better than if you sort of had your head down and you didn't really believe in yourself. I feel like I have some level of that, where even if it's like there's just like a topic test or something, some people will say, oh no, it's like I'm not gonna do well. It's just like, you might as well just say that you're gonna do well to yourself. You might as well affirm that to yourself. Otherwise there's just no point in you taking the test. You might as well just sort of sit there, not even write anything, because you already believe you're gonna fail. It's sort of like, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. But there are certain things that you think you can do, and you might as well think that you can do, because otherwise there's no point in like really trying to do that thing. There's no point in doing it. Maybe you've got no choice. You might as well say that you can do it, even if when the end result comes you can't, and you realise that that wasn't a good experience, and it ended out that I didn't actually do that well. But that's where the sort of, is it arrogance or is it blind confidence? Because someone who's confident, they believe in their ability to do something. They believe in their ability to challenge whatever sort of human endeavour like comes upon them and comes to challenge them. But someone who's arrogant believes they can do anything, conquer the world, and if they make a mistake, it's not their fault, not their responsibility. I mean, sometimes we all like screw up and try to blame someone else. It's sort of instinct and human nature to be defensive, but we all try to not be like that. Some people, like, that is them, they are arrogant, that is their personality, but most people, they just do that on a general mistake basis. But I want you to aspire to be blindly confident rather than arrogant. And when you say, yeah, I'm gonna do this, it's gonna be fine, I'm gonna do great, and then it ends up like, when you get the end result, yeah, I didn't do that great, you have to have that humility and sort of being humble, instead of saying, oh, I'm still good at that thing, it's like it's something else fault or whatever. When you realise that it didn't go as well and the affirmation didn't exactly work, I mean, it would always work. You would have done worse if you didn't think positively, but it's still not sort of good enough to the people that have worked hard on that particular skill for the whole of their lives. When you sort of put that into perspective, but it makes a lot of sense. So it would be right to be a bit more humble and have a bit more humility and be like, yeah, I'm just not really good at this thing. I've tried it, but I thought I could do it, but maybe I can't. Maybe this just isn't really my thing. And I know I've worked hard on other things, so I will just pursue that instead. Or you kind of, hopefully you sort of understand the mindset that I'm trying to get at with the whole blind confidence. Not arrogance, but also not self-doubt, but you're being humble. Because a lot of people be like, oh, I'm going to do so badly. But they're trying to do that to be humble, and they're trying to do that to sort of make themselves feel better because they want to be humble, because that's a good trait to have, being humble and having humility. So we're like, oh, I'm not going to do that well. Even though that's just affirming to yourself that you're not going to do well, it's best to be humble and have humility once the end result is actually there, instead of before you actually try anything. When you're in the stage where you're before trying anything, have some sort of blind confidence, because I feel like that just makes sense to me. That just makes sense to the whole, if you say you can or you can't, you're right thing. But with that, that's about all I wanted to say, and I recommend subscribing, and have a nice day.